Hi everyone, I'm Tom Wilson. Welcome back to the Northern Gamblers podcast. It's the Cambridgeshire Festival at Newmarket this week, so we'll be getting stuck into the Saturday card for that. As ever, James Dunkley is back on the podcast and enjoying a beer. Hello, James. What beer are you drinking?
Hi, Tom. Yeah, just enjoying an Amstel today.
Okay.
A nice big Amstel.
Got another very nice. I've got a big Estrella.
Oh yeah.
Spanish, so yeah, that's nice. Good. Hope you've got some winners. And we're very happy. We're very happy to welcome on board Joshua Stacey from the Racing Post. So, Josh, welcome. Thanks very much for coming on. That must sound nice as an introduction, Josh from the Racing Post.
Yeah, it definitely feels good, and it's been a good sort of. I've only been there for like 2 or 3 months. I feel left out by not having a beer. Need to get one.
We'll give you a break in the middle. Go and get one. Yeah. Cool. Very good. So thanks for coming on, Josh. We've kind of interacted before on Twitter, but it's great to have you on for the first time on the podcast. What we normally like to do is kind of just as a way of introduction is maybe just talk about your selection methods, your way of going around analysing a race, particularly because I think you're 4 out of the last 4 selections and you've had 2 doubles in the last few days. So just tell us about your kind of your methods and how maybe you found a couple of these in the last couple of days.
Yeah, you're it's gonna take a while to take the smile off my face at the moment. Obviously doing quite well. Sort of a traditionalist. I like to see a horse run a few times before sort of backing it. I'm not a statistician at all. Me and stats aren't friends. I don't really look at them. It's just one of those things that you can get so in the know and not actually be in the know, sort of thinking that a stat is good. And
to me,
it's not for me. So I'll talk you through sort of a horse today. It was the Lucinda Russell horse in the 3 mile handicap chase, and I'm a big jumps fan. I definitely a better pick over the jumps than on the flat. I don't really think I can pick my nose on the flat, but I pride myself on a decent jumps knowledge. And I sort of just look safe. So today, the Lucinda Russell horse was the only one that had gone over 3 miles previously. It's a 3 mile race. The rest of them, I think that the furthest one of them had been is 2.5, 2.5 potentially. So I thought it's going to be already experiences on its side. And I thought, it was a bit of a slog. The weather's come. It was heavy ground this morning, and I thought stamina's going to be key. And there's only 4 or 5 horses in it. If the rest of them aren't very experienced, the one that is slightly more experienced, that's been around the track and been around the track over that distance, sort of looks like his pick. Had previous form on heavy ground, but Lucinda Russell, had a nice morning when I saw Lucinda Russell came out and said that it wouldn't like the heavy ground. So it drifted like a barge all day.
It shows how much some trainers know, doesn't it? About ground. I know, yeah. Ground especially. Yeah, I've had a few issues with that myself.
It drifted like a barge all day, and I thought, this is not going to happen. The first one came in, and I thought, I'm happy with that. I sort of admitted defeat, and then it seemed to miraculously love the heavy ground, and got it nice and late. Sort of the rest of them didn't stay. That was it. That was the only thinking behind it. The one horse in the race that stayed. The rest of them haven't been over that trip. And experience was key.
Yeah, very nice. Very good. Well, it's definitely working at the moment. As a complete stats man myself, don't look at any form, don't look at any videos. When it works, it's really great. When it doesn't work, it's absolutely terrible. And you look like a mug when you... Not very well. Not very well at all. This month, really bad. The last 3 months, not much better. So stats are great when they work, and they're absolutely embarrassing when they don't work. So sounds like it's working at the moment.
Yeah, I think stats are definitely maybe something that flat racing is good for. I think there's stats come into play far heavier on the flat, and obviously because I'm a jumps man myself, don't really pay too much attention to the flat. I think that's why the relationship isn't built yet.
Yeah, cool, very good. Well, we're going to give it our best go at cracking through the flat card at Newmarket on Saturday. So we will kick it off, and we will kick it off with the Royal Lodge. So it's a Group 2, over a 1 mile for Colts and Geldings. A bit of an introduction. Aidan O'Brien, as he does with most of these races, brings a very strong record to the Royal Lodge. He's 3 from 15 plus 10 points in the last 10 years, and he won the race last year with Mohawk, Daddy Longlegs in 2011, and Joshua Tree, topical, in 2009. James, we'll start with you. Are you going to stick with the O'Brien runners? I think Year of the Tiger seems to be the most prominent one in the market, or are you going to look elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm going to look elsewhere, to be honest. Year of the Tiger does seem the one Ryan Moore's booked on, but looking at the form, it doesn't really fill you with much confidence, considering he was absolutely terrible in that Superlative Stakes that Mystery Power won, and Mystery Power's come out and been beaten twice since. The second, Juan Elcano's been beaten, although in a Group 2. In fact, nothing's come and won from that race. He's been given a break, and we've just seen today a O'Brien horse absolutely bolt up in what was probably a weak Group 3, to be honest. But he did absolutely bolt in by like 7 lengths, and that was Wichita.
Yeah.
But for me, I've got it between the principals in the market. This Kamiko obviously probably has the strongest form in the race. Second by nose last time out in the Solario Stakes behind a friend of the podcast, Mike Spence's horse Positive, and that was only his second run, and that was pretty impressive, to be fair. I think the step up 1 furlong to a mile looks a positive. He's by Kitten's Joy, and so any extra distance above 7 furlongs is definitely going to bring out a bit of improvement. So he's definitely the rightful fave, but this Highland Chief's quite interesting as well. Haven't seen him for 98 days. He was 3rd in the Chesham. Obviously, Pinatubo won that, who's gone. Well, it's just absolutely ridiculous how good he is as a 2-year-old. And in second was Lope Fernandez, who's since come out and won a Group 3. So he's sort of a bit of a wild card as well. He came 3rd. It was a pretty decent race. He actually finished ahead of Year of the Tiger in that race as well. So yeah, I'd have it between them two, with a slight edge probably towards Kamiko, as his last run was probably better.
Mm-hmm. Josh, you agree with James, or are you looking elsewhere?
I do agree. I think Kamiko is boasts the strongest form in the race. Sort of very eye-catching and fast finishing second in the Solario. I thought he was unlucky potentially not to win that day. From that, it looked like he'd appreciate the step up the trip. Obviously, Oisin Murphy is a big plus. I think he's definitely got a favourites chance. I don't think there's anything in there. Highland Chief, although finished behind Pinatubo, may not have race fitness, or may not be as race fit as Kamiko, and that might be a factor. I do quite like the Aidan O'Brien horse. I think Year of the Tiger, for maybe a bigger price to nick a place, 8-1. I don't think he was seen to best effect at Newmarket, and I was impressed by his previous run at Nace. He could probably bounce back potentially, but he sort of won at a bigger price that might be able to nick a place. I think he's 8-1 at the moment.
Yep, very good, very nice. I'm going to stay at the front of the market. I'm going to be firmly unoriginal, so I'm probably going to start with you, James. For the reasons you mentioned, same sire, Kitten's Joy, as the sadly recently deceased Roaring Lion, who himself won this race in 2016. Same colours for Qatar Racing. Yeah, decent in the Solario last time out, and the step up from 7 to 1 will suit. I just think he's going to have the class to win this race. So Kamiko, for me, short price favourite. So me and James Kamiko, and Josh each way on Year of the Tiger for a bit of value. Good. Second race on the card then it's the Cheveley Park for the fillies over 6. Really bringing the best of the 2-year-old fillies together here. Raffle Prize from the Mark Johnson stable heads the betting and probably is a deserved favourite after very impressive recent runs at Deauville and Newmarket. Josh, we'll start with you. do you think raffle prize is a good thing, or do you again, do you think there's some more value elsewhere, perhaps at an each way price?
I think, unlike the last race, I think the favourite is potentially far superior. I think she was an impressive winner of the Queen Mary Ascot, followed that up at Newmarket, and she was just beaten by Earthlight, who's actually favourite for the Middle Park, which we'll touch on later. In France last time out, she's sort of had a nice little break, and you know, it's hard to imagine that Mark Johnston won't have her firing. She looks very smart indeed, and she'd be the one for me.
Yeah, good. James?
Yeah, I agree with everything Josh has said there. To be honest, it's hard to look past her. You mentioned the form with Earthlight there. Is he favourite for the Middle Park?
He is. He's favourite for the Middle Park. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's favourite for that. So I mean, it'd be a nice sort of form boost for him. Obviously, the interesting one is this Atoye.
Oh, stealing my thunder.
Yeah, no, Brian, but she's not even first choice.
Stealing my thunder. Shortest in the market though.
Yeah, true. I just think if Raffle Price runs a race, she wins, doesn't she? Really?
Yeah. On all known figures, Raffle Prize is far superior to these.
Yeah, it's hard. I was looking through the rest of them, and there's nothing sort of. I mean, I don't know about this French one, Trop Beau.
Yeah, no idea.
No idea about the French form. So yeah, it's a bit of an obvious one, but there's nothing much I would take her on with.
Yeah, well, so I'm going to go with that Etoile or Etoile, just so that I'm not putting up 3 short price favourites in a row. So I am going to try,
because obviously O'Brien horses tend to come on for the run, but she started off in a Group 3 and won it. So
yeah,
I mean,
first time out, O'Brien horse, they never do well first time out. They always come on.
Yeah, but then that's in a maiden. This was in a Group 3, so
yeah,
she is interesting, but it is a slight concern that Ryan Moore's not on her.
Yeah,
but yeah, go on.
Just getting Donegal those wins. Just trying to get Donegal those Group 1 wins.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. So why I'm going with Etoile or Etoile. So Aidan won this race in 2018 with Fairyland, with Clemmy in 2017, and with Brave Anna in 2016. So he's coming in here on the back of a hat trick. As you said, we haven't seen Etoile since her impressive first time out victory in May, and that was a good time figure that day. So really good debut time figure. So any kind of expected improvement from that would kind of put her in the same parish as Raffle Prize for me. The time off the track between May and September, of course, is quite a big concern, especially being a 2-year-old. But if you trust in the master, and if Aidan's managed to have a right, then I think she's got a great each-way chance at 9s, is it? Can you get? Yeah, you can get 10s with some Irish bookmakers. So each way selection there for me. So Raffle Prize, Etoile.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
Your 16 to 1 touch just comes second.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, it was beat comfortably, but
all right,
by the favourite. I mean, the favourite got absolutely smashed up to evens.
Wow.
But yeah, better going.
And that's why I don't bet each way. Good. Right, next one then. Middle Park. Again, bit of French form coming in here. Earthlight comes over after winning the Prix-Mornay or the Prix-Mornay.
Your French is getting a workout today, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, after Harper Crates a few weeks ago, I actually tried to revise a couple of these. So, you know. Josh, yeah, like the Fabra, Barcelona coming over. 4 in a row so far, or elsewhere?
First, I think we should say that how strong this race looks.
Yeah,
although
mega.
It is the second best juvenile trophy to Pinatubo.
Yeah,
it is a ridiculously strong race. I'm not with Earthlight. I think obviously he beat Raffle Prize last time, did it fairly comfortably. But I think there's a few of the English horses. I think there's a specific English horse that we'll touch on that's got a great chance. And there's also one very nice Irish horse that I like. And it's obviously Mum's Tipple was a bit of a talking point. 11 length winner of that yearling stakes at York, and sort of everyone was going crazy. There was bids apparently of 3 million, and take of that of what you will. It was emphatic. It was impressive. Ryan Moore was on that day. Interesting. Obviously, Ryan Moore's got the connection with Brian. Interesting that he didn't push for maybe the rider Mum's Tipple. I think maybe if he had, he potentially would have got it. O'Shea Murphy obviously is not a bad replacement though, and I'm sure he's very much looking forward to the ride. I'm unsure. Immediately after the race, I thought very impressive. Could just be one of those. I'm going to side with Siskin. Although I do like Mum's Tipple, I'm going to side with Siskin because obviously unbeaten in 4 starts, the Group 1 over this distance under his belt, beat Monarch of Egypt fairly comfortably. And Monarch of Egypt is being taught up quite nicely by Aidan O'Brien. He's fairly sweet on his chances. And Monarch of Egypt did bridge the gap last time. Obviously, they faced twice, and he finished second to him twice. But I'll be with Siskin. I think he's got a lot of speed, and I think I'm unsure whether conditions will suit. But I think Siskin with the Group 1 under his belt already, I think he's going to be the one to beat.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good, James. Are you Irish? Are you English? Or are you French?
What am I? I am confused. I haven't got a frigging clue. Right. This, I mean, as everything Josh says was absolutely spot on. Mum's Tipple from the sales race. We were on it. But it just looked like one of those performances that I thought maybe, it's a sales race. You don't know what level everything's ran to. But then the Time boys came out and said, no, this is a proper performance. We need to take note.
Yeah, it was a proper time. It was
really good time for group time. But in interviews, you listen to Richard Hannon, and just to me, he seems like he thinks Fret is the better horse. Every time I've heard him interview, Fret's the group boss, Fret's done this, blah, 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 Mum's Tipple, he's a bit, unless he's just being a bit coy on it, like he doesn't really want to build it up too much, which could be the case. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to over-egg it. So yeah, Mum's Tipple is obviously the exciting, unexposed. You just don't know how good he could be. Earthlight sort of has Golden Horde beat from last time. They were in the same race and he finished ahead of him. I'm taking on Siskin and Monarch of Egypt. I just don't think Siskin's beaten Monarch of Egypt twice. Unless you rate Monarch of Egypt and think he's decent, then Siskin hasn't really beat much else.
It's hard to know, isn't it? That's the thing. I thought it was hard to get a handle on the form because you basically, that's the form line.
Yeah.
You don't know how good either of them are.
But he also, Joe Lyons absolutely bottled putting him in the national stakes against Pinatubo. So that tells you something.
Yeah.
And first defence, well, yeah, but also that he might not be as good as he's been made out to be. First defence isn't a stallion you would be associating with races like this either. I think, and I've already alluded to it, I think Fret each way, you got 9 runners, he's like 12 to 1. He obviously came second twice, but I think his last 2 runs he's been improving. Just getting a bit of he beat, when we were at Doncaster last time out in the Champagne, he beat Royal Crusade. And from the way Charlie Appleby was talking about Royal Crusade, he sounds like he's like shit hot at home, basically. He was basically saying, if you went to the yard and watched Royal Crusade and Pinatubo, you'd think Royal Crusade was the proper group performer. Obviously, we know that's not the case on the track. I just thought that was interesting. They obviously held him in high esteem. And he's beaten him with a penalty. I just think since he was beaten at Goodwood by Golden Horde, it was only 3/4 of a length. I think he's definitely improved. He's won the Jim Crack. I just think 12 to 1 is a big price. I would love to see Mum's Tipple come out and just do something special because that's the one you want to be special in the race. Earthlight's probably a bit short considering how hot of a race it is. But yeah, I think if you want to take a stab at something, I think Fret each way is very solid. I think you definitely get a decent run for your money at least.
I think it's interesting. Mum's Tipple has almost been built up in a similar way that Pinatubo is. They're very quiet. Charlie Appleby was very quiet about Pinatubo. He looks like an absolute world beater.
Well, he didn't know about him. All he said is he just eats, sleeps, and drinks is what he said. He said he doesn't do anything at home, doesn't do anything special, and then he does that on the track. So,
do you not think that might be the case with Mum's Tipple, where he doesn't give too much at home?
Yeah, possibly. I think they've always held him in high regard, though. Just from listening to interviews with Richard Hannon, that Ascot race that he won on debut, they always take a good horse there. And I think they were under the impression that this sales race is a bit like free money, really. He's going to absolutely destroy these. Obviously, in the Ascot race, he beat that Moller F or something. I can't remember what it's called. Mollafam.
Yeah.
Mollafam then came out, won that Good Maiden at York, came out, won that listed race at Doncaster, which Wichita was second in. So the form's getting franked there. So, yeah. I couldn't be backing him at 5-2 or whatever he is, but he's interesting.
Yeah, so Mum's Tipple for me. So it was a proper speed figure, proper time figure. The York run. It's actually my 4th highest 2-year-old time figure of the season, behind Pinatubo, Earthlight, Mum's Tipple. Bit of a concern about that. That has been it was rattling fast ground, and that has been adjusted for ground. However, there was also headwind, so you never really know. So I'm a bit nervous about the integrity of that time figure. It's actually a class angle why I'm going to take on Mum's Tipple. His dam, or his mother, Colomone Cross, was quite a poor horse and was rated only 58. And for people who've listened to the podcast quite a lot, I mean, to be honest, this is more James's angle than mine. But for proper group level horses, Group 1 horses, we like to see a strong pedigree on both the dam and the sire side. So out of a poor dam, that's one class angle to give me a reason to oppose Mum's Tipple. I'm going to oppose Siskin as well, on a similar from a kind of similar place, actually. So James, you mentioned his father's first defence. So on pedigree, he's only had one other Group 1 winning horse. That horse was Dundonald in 2012, who had an official rating at his peak of 116. Siskin's currently rated 113. So another thing that James doesn't normally like to see is horses going beyond the ceiling of all of the other progeny out of the kind of line. So there's an argument that Siskin might even be approaching his ceiling at 113. Of course, we don't know. He's more than entitled to go and improve for that. But that was an angle for me to take him on. I'm going to be incredibly obvious. I'm going to go with a favourite. I'm going to go with Earthlight. He's by Sharmadal, who's probably got a rightful claim to be the sire of the season. Of course. Yeah,
with the 2-year-olds. With
Pinatubo as well. His mother, Winter's Moon, was 3rd in the Fillies Mile at Newmarket in 2014. So there's a decent amount of class on the dam side as well. The form of the Pre-Morny victory has been really hot. Number of quality horses winning behind. Raffle Prizer we'll see earlier on in the day. Arizona, Al-Ali. Al-Ali won the Flying Childers really comfortably at the Ledger Festival. And Arizona was 3rd, of course, in the National Stakes. Got smashed up by Pinatubo, but was only a neck behind the 2nd place horse. I've seen that Farber's been talking about it's a test really to see if Earthlight takes to the quirks of the Newmarket course, particularly with the undulations. So they're clearly just coming here for a trial to see if the classics are an option for next year. But I think on class and on existing form, I think he's the one for me. So I'm putting up the favourite again.
I would like to ask a quick question.
Yeah.
What do you both make of Lope Fernandez?
I think he needs further. Does he need further? I think he's ours for next year. He's a 3-year-old, not a 2-year-old.
Yeah, it means he's by Lope de Vega. They tend to get a mile and a half. They obviously fought a lot of him. They absolutely ploughed into him stupidly to beat Pinatubo at Ascot. Like, he went off. He got favourite for that. He
went up favourite 5-4, I think.
Yeah, they absolutely punted him. So they obviously thought he was good, but then then they dropped him back to 6, though, didn't they? Now he's running at 6 again. So I don't know. He's a bit of a confusing one, really.
Yeah. Do you want a fact? I'll give you a fact. Same dam as Dark Vision.
Yes, Cost 900 grand as well.
Black Dahlia.
So he'd probably be a massive disappointment at 3.
What do you think about him, Josh?
Unsure. Was impressed with him last time. Obviously, was mightily disappointing behind Pinatubo both runs prior. Unsure to make of him. That's why I asked you. That's why I asked the stat expert.
Yeah, also unsure.
He's definitely a confusing horse because Gildsman came out and got beat today as well, I think, in France. Yeah, it was poor in a listed race in France. The third got beat off Fret at Doncaster. So, yeah, I get the impression he's not as good as I thought he was going to be, but yeah, no.
Yeah.
So a lot can happen between 2 and 3.
That's true. So Josh is going Irish with Siskin. James is going English with Fret. And I'm going French with each way. And I'm going French with Earthlight. Good. Yeah, you're right. It's a really nice race, though, isn't it? I really enjoyed getting stuck into it.
Really, there was a lot of winners coming from this race.
Yeah.
These are the kind of horses that you want to bookmark for when they drop in class to Group 2, Group 3. And because if they run bad here, they'll piss up in Group 2 or Group 3. So, but yeah, definitely wants to keep an eye on.
We'll come to the big handicap of the afternoon. 340. It's the Cambridgeshire over 1 mile 1. Good birthday for Andrew Balding's been getting smashed up all week. It's now 2 in places. I think best price you can get is 8. The 3-year-olds are dominating the market. The top 4 positions are being occupied by the younger horses. James, we'll start with you. Are you staying with the 3-year-olds or are you going elsewhere? 3 and 4-year-olds seem to be the angle in this one, normally.
I am siding with the 3-year-olds, and I'm siding with John Gosden and Frankie Dettori. I noticed this horse a few weeks ago. Before he came out, Ascot had been gelded after his very eye-catching run at Sandown in the Heron Stakes. And I actually said to you and a few others, I said, I think this horse might be coming back to the Cambridgeshire.
And what price was he?
He was 25 to 1 when I mentioned it.
What price is he now?
8.
Yeah.
I didn't back it, and now he's like 2nd or 3rd favourite. So yeah, a bit annoying that I haven't backed him, but I'm going to stick with him. Early in the week, Frankie Dettori was on Star of Bengal, who isn't even coming to this race anymore. He's gone to Chelmsford. So you can look at that of 1 or 2 ways that he was never going to win, or they're so confident in Lord North that they don't need him here. And yeah, the run last time out, he was 2nd to Bless Him, and Bless Him just travelled all over him, and it was Jamie Spencer at his best. But I'll go as far to say I can guarantee Lord North was not fully tuned up. It was a first run after Gelding Up. It was offered a 106-day break. There's no way, if they had an eye on the Cambridgeshire, there's absolutely no chance he would have been fully tuned up for that. So they were probably quite pleased to come 2nd. He's on the same mark of 98, which looks absolutely perfect. He's got a lovely racing weight of 8 stone 10. He's lightly raced. He's only had 4 starts. As I said, that Heron Stakes, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. It's just ridiculous. Rab Havlin just doing what Rab Havlin does, but it was bad. There's quite a few. Have you got trends for this horse race? Because I've got them up here. I can read them, Tom, if you'd like some.
Go on then. Give us some trends. Yeah.
Hang on, it's loading.
Are they your own trends, or are you just nicking
no? They're stolen from the
Well,
olbg.com blog.
You can't be stealing analysis on the podcast.
It's analysis that everyone uses. Your trends would be exactly the same. You can't steal trends. They'll have stole it from somewhere else. Where was the ones that I was interested in? So all 10 winners finishing the first 6 last time out. All 10 were officially rated no lower than their last win. So looking for horses holding their best form or improving. All 10 winners had won over at least a mile or up to 10 furlongs. All 10 winners had previously won at no better than listed level. 8 had won no better than class 2 or 3. So you don't want horses that are dropping in grade for this. So you want sort of lightly raced horses that haven't won above the mark, that are improving, I also think it's better to have, if you have a horse who's only run over 8 furlongs, so this is 9. I'd rather have one who hasn't tried 9 or further. You know what I mean? So they've got that potential improvement with that extra furlong. So yeah, there's just a few. I can't bother to go through them all. So yeah, this horse fits most of them. He's with John Gosden. They won it last year with Wissahickon, who absolutely pissed up in this. Wouldn't surprise. This looks obviously it's fucking competitive. There's 33 runners, and they're all, you know what I mean. It's like really competitive, obviously. But this is the one that stands out to me. Unexposed. Looks like he's been set up for it. Second run after gelding off, going up in trip. Steaming.
And the horse is?
God North. Julia said that at the start.
No, you didn't.
People would have worked that out.
10 minutes in, yeah. All right, nice one. Josh, do you agree with James? Or have you looked elsewhere for your selections?
Funnily enough, I do agree with James. But I had 2 going into the race just in case this was going to happen. I thought Lord North might be a bit of a popular choice. And funnily enough, you said a lot can happen between 2 and 3. And the horse I'm going to side with, I think he might just have his day, found nothing in between 2 and 3. And that is a horse you touched on earlier, and that was Dark Vision.
First time visor.
I'm willing to give Dark Vision one more go. I think he might finally just get his day. He's down to a mark of 101 now. And, you know, he's previously run at 113. He was obviously a very, very, very good 2-year-old. And he's not ran badly this season. He sort of ran in he's ran decent races in some good handicaps, obviously, notably Ascot, Newmarket and York. William Buick is always a plus. I was impressed with his run when he stepped up in trip. He finished a couple of lengths behind Walking the Sand. I thought that was fairly all right. I think Dark Vision's gonna get his day at some point.
Yeah,
I'm willing to side. I think he's 25, so I think, and each way, you know, he might be able to get 5 places with most bookmakers. I think that potentially, if there's no doubt he's got a lot of class. There's no doubt he's got a lot of class on his day. He was a great 2-year-old. He's shown nothing since. Nothing what people expected anyway. I think
it's nice to get first time visor, yeah. Good angle.
The blinkers didn't really work because he was in a nightmare draw at Goodwood. I can totally see the angle. Half brother to Lope Fernandez.
An actual half brother.
And you know what? This trip could be ideal. This 9 furlongs trip, because he's run well over 8 and 10. You never know. Just changing that trip slightly could suit him. Yeah, we were all over him at York, weren't we?
Yeah. And the funny thing is we spoke to Charlie Johnson at York, and he clearly was. They clearly thought his handicap mark was good. It was good for Goodwood. They were clearly very frustrated about the draw for the Goodwood run because they expected him to win effectively. We were keen on him at York. He disappointed, but yeah, every dog has his day. So yeah, they're nice. I will tell you who I fancy, and then let's talk about the market leaders a little bit. I'm going to go with a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, so I'm going to have 2 selections here. I do like Le Don de Vie for my mate Huey Morrison. Good win last time out at Goodwood, beat some decent horses in Great Example and Harrovian. There's also a couple of bits of form that really jump out at me. There's a run behind Sir Ron Priestley in the Glorious Goodwood Festival. I mean, he's well beaten. He's about 5 or 6 lengths beaten, but still behind a horse that's been incredibly progressive throughout the season. Also, the race that you won at Epsom on the 1st of June. I mean, there's some decent horses in behind there. Victory Command was in behind. Naef Road was in behind, who's been incredibly progressive again also throughout the year. Yeah, it just looks like a horse that it looks tailor-made. I think he's going to be a Group 3, a Group 2 horse in time. I think he's been progressive throughout the season. I think Huey's pretty shrewd in big handicaps. The jockey booking is also quite eye-catching, being Ryan Moore. So the Don de V is my 3-year-old selection. Before I tell you about my 4-year-old, Josh, what did you think about him? Anything? Did you like him or not?
I did. He was on the shortlist. Wasn't for me. Preferred Lord Nor as a 3-year-old.
James, what did you think?
The fact that you're putting him up would scare the life out of me, to be honest.
Thank you.
I don't know. I'd rather. I'm looking for a horse going up to 10, up to 9 instead of coming down. I don't know. They tried that run you discussed about Ron Priest. I mean, that was a mile and a half. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just thinking, is he going to get done for a bit of speed?
Yeah. So then the other one that I like, the 4-year-old, was a mainstay in a lot of the early season Saturday handicaps. Actually won a handicap in April. One of the
I
first
know you put it up there.
season. Yeah, I'm putting up. He's 1 from 2 at the track overall with 5 places. The mark still looks decent. And Thor, the Hammer Hansen, takes off a really valuable £5. I just think he's been solid in most of the handicaps all season. And I think particularly with the £5 coming off with the claimer, has got a massive chance at a place, if not better. Likes the track. And I really like Beringer at 20s. And Alan King's Stringer in pretty decent form at the moment. So effectively running off 92. So 97 minus the 5. I like Beringer. James, what do you think about
that? I think the trip might be ideal for him, especially with a strong pace. Weirdly, he's by Sea the Stars, but some of his best performances have been over a mile. So I think this a strong run 9. That again, like Dark Vision, that middle sort of trip might suit him. I just think he's a little bit too high. Like, I think he would have to run the race of his life to win this. Personally, he's the highest he's won off is 96. Now, I know he's off 97. I know he's got the claimer, but they are claimers for a reason. And this is a 30-odd run handicap, so he would need. His best form's probably on like really fast ground as well, and I don't think it's going to be that fast. It's going to probably just be on the slow side of good. So, sorry, Tom, it's not for me.
Don't doubt the Hammer.
I think there's better apprentices than Hammer. He's all right, but
he's solid. He's
all right.
We haven't talked about the favourite. So Good Birthday. I'll tell you why I discounted Good Birthday. And he has been well supported in the market. Won quite nicely at Beverley last time out. But you won from stall 1. And of course, Beverley is a course with a track bias.
It's over 10 furlongs.
I know it was over 10. There's still a bias. There's still a bias over that distance at Beverley. If you look at the last 12 runnings of that race, stall one has run it 3 times. That's a 25% blind strike rate, and stalls 1 to 3 have won 7 of the 12. I just think it's a bit of it's a track bias boost, so might be good, but that's the kind of angle that I like to take horses on that have won with a bias in the favour. Far better to find value looking for a horse that's run against a bias and still run well.
Bit of a worry for Josh's selection there, because Good Birthday hammered Dark Vision last time out.
Yeah, but Dark Vision's
Good Birthday won that race pretty easily, and I rate the second Desert Icon as well, who's in this race as well, isn't he?
But plus, the run before that at Newmarket, who finished 4th ahead? Dark Vision.
There you go.
True.
There you go.
I think Good Birthday's improved.
Because of the track bias.
Well, I don't know. If you watch the race, he won all right. I don't know. I did like Good Birthday, but at the prices, he's the same price as Lord North, so preferred Lord North. I just think it's Gosden. He'll have had this in mind. The interesting thing about the draw is all the fancied horses are drawn high, aren't they? A lot of them are. Some of them are. It's not fucking working. What
did we think about 5th position, Josh? Did you like him, or he's third fav, but any thoughts on him?
Good run behind a Larkham at Sandown, but I didn't even enter the frame in my opinion. I don't think. I like Lord North. I like Lord North and Dark Vision, and I thought those two were particularly interesting. They're sort of the two that I focused on.
Yeah. I mean, and he's actually a class dropper, so he's dropping down from Group 3.
He is.
James, on your angle, that doesn't fit.
No, it doesn't fit. But I do think he's quite well handicapped. Like, he was running at Sandown in July, and he had LR Cam winning, who came out and he's won a Group 2, and he's come third in a Group 1. Extra Elusive is a horse I like. He was second. First Nations, solid Group 3 horse. Royal Line he came out and won next time out in a Group 3. So that was a really strong race. He was actually in that Heron Stakes that Lord North was in as well. I think. No, was he not?
No, he wasn't. No.
Oh,
I tell you what is an interesting bit of fifth position form. It's it's the one. No, it's behind Spanish Mission. So it's the run at Goodwood in May, 2 lengths behind Spanish Mission. Now, Spanish Mission's that horse that Simcox sent over to the US, isn't it, with Spencer on board? And they won that. Was it a valuable handicap or was it a group race? Something really valuable.
Group race, but it was but Spanish Mission. I mean, this was over 1 mile free. Like, that was probably too far for fifth position. The interesting race is he beat Space Blues. Space Blues had to carry a penalty, but Space Blues is Group 2 horse. He's honestly, I think 100, a mark of 100 could definitely be underestimating him. How much he's got, how much give he's got in that mark, I'm unsure, but I think he'll be there or thereabouts, definitely.
Yeah. So to summarise for the Cambridgeshire, so it's Dark Vision for Josh, and we also like North. Each way, 2025s.
Yeah.
You'll get 7 places in some firms for this, so don't be afraid. We've picked apart a lot of the front of the market, but don't be afraid to have a swing at one with all the extra places.
Yeah, James, Lord North for you. You've been pretty strong on that for a while, and it's Le Don de Vie for me is a 3-year-old, and Beringer as well, which is probably more an each way bet with the hammer on board. That's probably the best of Newmarket. Josh, is there anything else? We won't go race by race, but is there anything else that you liked on the rest of the Newmarket card?
If I'm honest, I've not really had a look.
Me neither. 2-year-old race is boring.
I've not really had a look.
No
features.
I've got one that I like. I like one that jumped out. I had a quick look. 525. It's the Class 2 handicap. Spanish City. I like Spanish City. Varian is in good form. Marco Gianni is on board. Is he the best apprentice of the season? Could be. It's between him and Angus Villiers. Why I'm really keen on him is I think the Cunard handicap at Ascot is turning out to be really hot. Salute the Soldier won it and has come out and placed since, but has gone up in the ratings. Tabarak was 3rd and has since come out and won, and Spanish City was 5th. I think when you get more runners coming out of that Cunard handicap, it's going to prove to be a hot race. So with the Wizard Gianni, the new Italian stallion, claiming 7, I think Spanish City is a good bet in that race.
I'm a big fan of Marco Gianni. I think he's got a similar style to Frankie Dettori in some ways, and how he pushes out his horses. Not just the Italian sort of link, but I do think he's sort of almost a mini version, you could say.
Yeah.
But the thing I would worry about that, if that Spanish City had such a good chance, he's a varying horse. That Zani's in the same race, surely you'd be on him, regardless.
Nah, why? When you can get the Italian Wizard?
Because Azzani's the Italian Wizard. Is he Italian? Yeah,
he's not Italian, isn't he? Brazilian or something?
Andrea Azzani. He sounds very Italian. He's Italian. He's definitely Italian. What are you on about?
He's Italian.
Of course he is. You know what?
I think I'm thinking of Sylvester de Souza.
I totally forgot to look at this race, but when Lord North wins the Cambridgeshire, Dubai Legacy was 3rd behind him at that Ascot race. He's been dropped £1. Oisin Murphy on board. interesting, being gelded. So yeah, I'd have a look at him, but I haven't looked.
Saru is in good form at the moment as well. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice. Anything anywhere else on Saturday? Josh, have you had a chance to look at any yaks jumping over fences yet?
I have.
Raisin?
I was not going to not let you hear some jumps. Some jumps.
These might be the only tips that win.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's sort of not a lot of them have been definitely declared, but it's an exciting time of the year, especially for a jumps fan, when you've got like Holstone came out today, and
you jumped round at 1 to 6.
You say that, but like obviously at this time of year, it's where the summer horses sort of that's when they go, and it's where the bigger horses that might have bigger targets further down the line sort of come into play. I wouldn't fancy personally sending my novice chaser that I owned against Holstone in a 2-runner race. I thought Fergal O'Brien was quite brave to take Ballyholme there as an opposition anyway.
Free money for coming second.
I don't think it finished.
Well, not free money then.
No. Yeah, it's an exciting time of the year. Obviously, it can be boring for some people, but Holstone's going to have bigger targets down the line. I wasn't massively impressed with them, to be fair, but I won't talk about today. Market Raisin, there's a decent card at Market Raisin on Saturday, and the first sort of decent race, the Prelude Handicap Hurdle. It's a listed race, and some interesting horses, some big horses in there. Mohayed, notable runner.
Gumball.
I'm hoping that he isn't declared, because that would sort of massively boost the chance of one of my selections. Gumball, obviously a fairly good horse. Azuri, Storm Rising, they're all sort of horses that you'd imagine will be in the betting for something like the Greatwood Hurdle further down the line, probably having a run to sort of prep for that. But the horse I like is Harry Fry, definitely an Oscar. And if Mahed isn't declared, I think he's just outside the handicap at the moment. I think he could have a very, very tidy weight. Sort of, he's had the all-important run. He won, but was disqualified, and he sort of beat a JP / Colin Tizard horse that looked quite potentially classy. Did that in good style. And I was on course at Warwick last year when he won. I thought it was very impressive that he went straight into my tracker. He's currently rated 120. I think that is mightily generous as it is. And I could easily see Harry Fry getting improvement out of him. I think he potentially is a 130 horse now. I think he might even be potentially up to 140 in the future. I think he's sitting on a very, very, very nice handicap mark, and he'll be a low weight in that race. And I think if he runs, if Mahed isn't in it, I think he's got the chance, and he could be the banker of the weekend.
Oh, that's going to save our Saturday after.
You'd want to take on Mahed though, wouldn't you? Off top weight, first run of the season.
You would want to take him off, but obviously it would be interesting to see what weight and how much definitely an Oscar has to give away at the bottom of the handicap.
Oh yeah, because he's 11 stone 12, and Gumball's the next one. He's 10-13, so yeah, he's ruining the handicap there if he comes out.
Yeah.
So what time was that?
Unsure. No, it's the feature.
4 o'clock.
It's the listed. The listed race. They're the Prelude handicap. Yeah. Okay, very good.
Good flat horse running in that.
Who's that?
Scarlet Dragon. 100 and odd rated on the flat. So if I was betting in that, I would go with the good doctor's horse, Dr. Newland's horse, Storm Rising. Charlie Hammond takes off 3. Why would I do that? So he's run this twice before. He won it with Hassel in 2016 and You Know Yourself in 2013. Charlie Hammond was on Hassel in 2016, and he had a horse that was 3rd at a decent price, 11-1 last year in Cade Dulin. So I don't know what the betting forecast would be, but just for the crack to have a jump selection, Storm Rising from the Good Doctor for me in that.
Also, I'd like to point out Sean Bowen is a big plus. He's going to be a big star this season. He's a very talented young rider, and I think if he can nail down a job at Harry Fry's, That'd be very interesting.
Yeah, Sean Bones. Yeah, he's really good. Really good. Good. Anything else on the rest of Saturday from either of you?
Nothing for me.
James?
Not really, no. I had a look at Haydock, but it's scary, isn't it, when there's so much rain about?
Oh, heavy at Haydock.
Heavy already and more rain forecast tomorrow.
Just back front on us.
Well, yeah.
Just go through the pace card and
I think just in course and distance, well, not course and just course form and course and ground form at Haydock is just so key when it gets heavy like this. But yeah, no selections.
Sunday, there's some decent racing over in Ireland on Sunday at the Curragh. We got the Beresford Stakes, and there's also a decent race earlier in the card. Just to quickly touch on the Beresford Stakes, most people will know it, but I mean, Aidan O'Brien wins it every single year. 2018, O'Brien. 17, O'Brien. 16, O'Brien. 15, O'Brien. 14.
Won it like 14 of the last 19 years, I think.
There you go. And it's normally a good prep race. Sometimes for the Guineas horse, but definitely for a Derby horse, I would say. A Derby horse often goes at 2 to the Beresfords, and sometimes they pop up in the Guineas as well if they've got enough tour. Just to talk about a couple of them, Louisiana is a horse that I kind of put up or mentioned anti-post at 50-1. Was it for the Derby, James? I can't remember.
For the Guineas.
It was for the Guineas, yeah. For the
And
one of the
been terrible.
the Guineas. Yeah, he's been awful. So I need Louisiana to show me something tomorrow to make my 50-1 slip still worthwhile. The reason I put him up is that he's a full brother to the Gurkha. That was the entire angle. The other interesting one is Persia, who looks quite nicely bred. So Persia's by Galileo, of course, but is out of a horse called Just Pretending. Now, she run the Derristown 1,000 Guineas trial in 2013 and was third in the Irish 1,000 Guineas, second in the Ribblesdale, and third in the Irish Oaks. So she was kind of a top caliber horse as well. She was a Group 1 horse. Never quite managed to win a Group 1, but it was always kind of there, second or third and thereabouts. So Persia's very well bred. I'm annoyed that actually I didn't back Persia anti-post, but hopefully Louisiana bounces back and Persia could be a nice type.
Do it now.
What price?
I don't know. For what?
Yeah.
Guineas or?
Yeah, Guineas, both.
Hang on.
It'd be too short. Should have backed it before. Just won the last race.
Yeah, but we've only won a maiden.
Didn't we ask Skybet to add Persia to the market?
No.
Yeah, we did.
I didn't.
All right. We might. I bet I've got a slip somewhere.
Can't even see it.
Which one do you think's O'Brien's first string?
Ooh, that's a good question. Before Louisiana was terrible, I would have said Louisiana.
Oh, God, no.
On form, it should be Persia, I would say. Let's have a look. I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Because there's about 10 of them.
Well, obviously a lot of them won't be going. It might be Persia, to be fair. What did he win last time? But to be fair, I really haven't been paying attention to much Irish racing. I can't speak Irish racing because I'm just focusing on English. Well, he's won a maiden by 5 lengths on soft ground. He might not be the number one. Is there not got anything in here that's won?
No, I mean Wichita's still entered, but Wichita
today
entered. Toronto's crap. Santiago, who knows?
Nah.
I think the breeding one that good. Yeah, it's them two, honestly.
Could be. What about this Innisfree? Innisfree. Did he win?
This is exciting, isn't it? Just watching.
Yeah, not great. Actually, I've got a question for Josh. Obviously, with the whole on the Twitter, like you've got quite a lot of followers now, and you're a young lad, and you'd like to put your opinions across. The whole Frankel thing with the Pinatubo thing, and you got a little bit of stick off. But what do you think when people are doing that?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yeah, the other. Yeah.
You can swear.
Couldn't give a shit. It's one of those things that I expected a little bit. I thought of. I was lucky because I started the page in October, and it was jump season, so I could get away with it. Flat season has exposed me big time. I've sort of become a bit of dark vision. I've had a good first season, and second season I'm not going very well at all.
It was the
I'm glad to
opposite
jump
with me last year, to be fair.
I'm glad to jump back. It's one of those that it doesn't matter. I gained far more than lost from it. You know, I have people I look up to, Paul Keeley, Fergal, Brian, other people reaching out that were sort of backing me publicly, and that means far more to me than what Brian,
whatever his name was,
sit in his bedroom, anonymous account with a picture of a horse means. So it's one of those. I don't really care.
No, that's good, because like Twitter can be a great place, and you can have a lot of fun, and get a lot from it. But there are dickheads about there who will sort of sit behind and keyboard warrior and all that kind of thing. But I tell you what, right? Me and Tom got into horse racing when we were about 18. We had no background in it. Our families weren't in it or anything like that. We were just. I think Tom once said to me, "Oh, there's this horse running called Court or Star. It's gonna win." And I was like, "All right." We went to the bookies and watched it. And we were like, "Oh, nice one, who won?" But we didn't. We're like 47, but we didn't have a fucking clue, to be fair, when we were your age. Like a lot of people don't, like, unless you do like the work and get into it. Like people. It's hard to grasp, and for someone to have your knowledge at your age, it's it's really good, and to be expressing yourself over social media and getting young people involved, like, it's fair play to you. I think it's absolutely spot on.
Yeah, thank you very much.
James, you've never been a keyboard warrior, James, have you? Commenting on podcast.
I'll tell people if people can see my face on here. If I've got an issue with someone, I'll tell them.
I mean, Barry stitched you up last week, though, didn't he?
Oh, well, yeah. That was totally in jest.
Oh, yeah. It is when he puts in a 33-1 winner.
I stand by the point. Who the fuck wants to listen to Betfair Barry?
When was the last time you tipped a 33?
Well, I've tipped a fair few, to be fair, on this podcast.
How's Jazzy last year?
What's her face? Iridessa, 33 for that Group 1. There's been plenty of big prices. Fucking Annapurna, it's 40 odd for the Oaks. Didn't see anyone else putting that up. No, it was
point proven. All right, don't get touchy.
To be fair, the Betfair Barry thing, when I was getting a bit of stick for that thing, I had no clue what anyone was on about because I hadn't listened to the podcast, so I didn't have a clue that he'd put up a winner. So, I was like, why am I getting this stick?
Sitting there typing opinions, hasn't even listened to the podcast.
Well, there was some guy who called himself Buzz Lightyear, so he got stick. So, but he deserved it.
Yeah, anyway, so lesson is, don't be keyboard warriors, kids. Just put your face out there and state your opinions. Yeah. Good. All right. Good. We'll wrap it up. Josh, thank you so much for coming on. Continue the hot form. 2 from 2 yesterday. Yeah, go on.
I'd like to switch that around.
Oh.
What do you make of someone that's 19 giving people advice about horse racing? There's only been legal to bet for a year and a half.
Personal opinion, I couldn't give a shit about how old someone is. If someone
good enough, if you're good enough, you're old enough.
Yeah, exactly. If you've got the analysis, like you could be 12 and you could have been around horses your entire life, and you could know about kind of the equine makeup of horses, and someone could express an opinion. And they would have far more knowledge on that than me, because I don't know anything kind of physically about horses. I just know punching stats into a database. So it doesn't matter to me. The quality of the analysis is the thing.
If you can pick winners, it really doesn't matter how old you are, to be fair. It took us, how many years did it take us, Tom, but when we started taking it seriously, we obviously got a lot better. But for
about 8 years, I would say, to actually be any good.
Well, obviously we went to uni and that and didn't really bother with horse racing then, but when we were 18, 19, we didn't have a clue. Like, absolutely no clue. And it's fine not having a clue. You can enjoy horse racing and not have a clue about betting. But obviously as we got older, now the way we do it with the podcast, and obviously we tip now, like people pay to get our tips, we've obviously got to take it very seriously, and we put a lot of work in. But when we were 19, Jesus Christ, wouldn't have had the foggiest. So yeah, I mean, it's you Your credit, lad.
It's like Kevin Blake always says, isn't it? It's like it's such a big game that you can never get to the bottom of it. There's always another tunnel to go down.
Yeah, you're I'll tell you what, you're always learning in this game. You'll never get to the bottom of the rabbit hole.
Yeah, good. All right, Josh, thanks so much for coming on. Keep up the good form. I'm looking forward to hearing some of the more kind of content and analysis coming out in the next couple of weeks. James, please pick some winners for me to keep me afloat.
I've got one tomorrow.
Okay, good. Yeah, big write-up as well.
There's a big write-up.
Yeah, best of luck if you're having a bet this weekend, and most of all, just enjoy the racing. So, goodbye from me.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Josh, for coming on. Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, lads, for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Good. See you later.